o'clock. All right. Hey everyone, it's December 16th, another Wednesday night of Andy Drinks a Beer. We're getting close to that holiday. Just counting the days. We have, as folks in the Boston region know, we're looking forward to another nor'easter. Gotta love a nor'easter, right? So we're expecting 12 to 18 inches here in the South Shore. Love it. Can't wait. Favorite thing last night, typical thing for a snowfall here at the Air household. Mrs. Air saying to me, yeah, we really should get a snowblower. I say the same thing every single year, which is I shovel the snow. I'm not complaining. So I guess get a snowblower when I drop dead. But, so we're expecting 12 to 18. I'm looking forward to shoveling that. Back is killing me. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. So tonight, I got a special guest on it. I figured we'd do some fun things. I got a choice of beers tonight. As you saw the image I posted of one of my favorite brews is Haze from Treehouse. Folks that, Treehouse IPA Haze, it's a double IPA, 8.2. It's got some peach notes of orange, mango, passion fruit, and it's unfiltered and kettle dry hop. Our next choice was very hazy, 8.6. And it's a haze with a boost of grapefruit notes, soft tropical taste. And our last choice was Perfect Storm at 8%. It's a New England IPA, and it's a hopped up version of Super Typhoon from Treehouse, and uses Simcoe and Citra hops. So if it right there off the bat, it's going to be a very strong citrus taste. It pours orange, and it's got notes and aromas of citrus, cantaloupe, papaya, strawberry, banana. So I'm looking pretty excited about that. We do have a guest tonight. Is a little bit of nepotism. My nephew, who has been doing also some COVID shows, is on TikTok and Instagram stories. Prior to COVID, he was doing a bunch of comedy shows at local clubs in the New York, New Jersey area. And because of COVID, now he's doing a weekly basement tour. So I figured, say, hey, B, it's time to come on. Come on, Andy Drinks a Beer, have a pint. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the New Jersey comic, Ryan Morrishaven, added to the stream. He's going to come on. He's going to do shorts. Brian, how are you tonight?
How are you, Uncle Andy?
Glad you could make it. I figured.
Well, luckily for you, it snowed tonight, so I had a big show planned at the Chamber of Commerce in town. So that's done for the evening. So I'm going to be drinking with my uncle in the basement. So
awesome. And it is a fun time. So what are you drinking tonight?
So I'm drinking. It's a blended Scotch. It has notes of gasoline and alcohol. So it's basically Johnny Walker Black Label. So
very good choice.
Smooth. Thankfully, the dryer just stopped going on so that you can probably hear me a little better now. The water heater probably should start on in a couple of minutes, so I apologize about that. But it's the studio I'm in right now.
Well, it adds to the atmosphere. So it's great. And, just to let you know, that's Johnny Walker is one of your aunt's favorite spirits. Not necessarily her first choice, but as she says, she doesn't exactly drink the cheap shit. So so tonight we decided, since we are having a nor'easter here in the Boston area, it was only appropriate, and great thing, we now have a beer cam. We have a beer camera, and Andy Drinks a Beer.
Wow. Is it debuting tonight?
Debuting tonight, the beer cam. So we selected Perfect Storm. That was perfectly appropriate named for the nor'easter up here. As a New Englander, we all really enjoy a good New England nor'easter. And most of us have already run to get the bread and milk and we're set to go. Looking forward to it. So, you know, let's pour this bad boy up. And just like I said, it's a hopped up version of Super Typhoon, Simcoe Citra, very juicy.
Now, are you a big beer connoisseur? Do you like the craft beers and stuff like that, like trying different things, or do you kind of stick with the same things usually?
Well, I primarily just stay craft. I do not drink anything that you would get like the Coors or the Michelob. I've actually never had a Budweiser. Never had Budweiser.
Yeah. Water, you've had pretty close. So.
Yeah. So, you know, mostly I'm drinking craft. My first beer was actually the Sam Adams, and that was the night I met your aunt at a dive bar in Savin Hill. Stab and Kill is the local name for it.
Only the best.
So David Ricketts is saying, Facebook says I cannot watch unless I use their invasive app. I have you considered YouTube. Actually, David Ricketts, I am streaming on YouTube. So if you look up Andrew Mariner on YouTube, you should see that link. I wish I could. Let's see if I can actually post it on the Facebook here. One of the things that we've done in our household is that we've eliminated a lot of computers. So we don't actually have. I can't get into YouTube. So we don't actually have any computers. We're actually working off all mobile devices now. So this is actually coming off an iPad. Even your aunt's on an iPad too now. But David, I'm actually on YouTube. James Byrne is telling me from YouTube that's un-American to never have had a Budweiser. I don't know, James. Every time I see someone pour it, it just looks like piss. So.
Yeah, James, why don't you mind your own business, okay? If you want it's called America for a reason, so let them have the
right. Please. Yeah, premium beer. This is really good.
If you attack my uncle, you're really attacking me personally, James. So please.
Slanta from Vitamin C. So the great thing about this beer is it was actually, I got this actually in a trade. Treehouse is located out at Charlton, Mass. Actually right by Uncle Rick and Aunt Deborah. Yeah.
Hey, you think Uncle Rick's
right the money? No, because you know, Uncle Rick is kind of a Luddite, so he actually doesn't have the internet. So he's actually doesn't have a cell phone. So, and I actually communicate by carrier pigeon with him. So, and seem to be the only one that can actually get in contact with him. So
more likely smoke signals with him, I think.
Yeah, but you know, he kind of likes to move stealthily with the pigeon. So
yeah.
you know, so this is absolutely delicious. But so the the Teco that I'm using is actually from Vitamin C, since holiday Teco.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description below so you guys can get that.
What's that?
We'll put the link in the description below so they can get that. It's a sponsor.
Right. Yeah. So
I'm getting.
So okay. James actually says he hasn't been called James since he got yelled at by his mother. So,
wow. At least someone's talking to you, James.
Right.
I'm getting some feedback on the on Instagram. You and I should do a podcast together from John Bisco. I don't know if that's an insult on what we're currently doing, or if he's maybe just he wants to have a little bit more of the reach here.
Now, is John a friend of yours?
Say that again.
Is John a friend of yours?
He's an acquaintance. He's a fan. I try to with most of my fans. No, but John's a good guy. Whenever I do my Facebook Live, you need hecklers in your life to make you better. So typically my dad's there for that. But when you don't have that, you have other people there. So John's always good for that. James P. Byrne is also another one of my hecklers that I've known for quite a while. He actually came to my first comedy show ever, which was at the Stress Factory in Brunswick. I may be making that up. I may be thinking of someone else, but it was someone that looked exactly like him, like a white guy with a comb over. So could have been someone else. It might be Brian. You couldn't iron the sheet. Okay, so thank you, James, for that. I got shit from my last comedy bit, stemming from my uncle Andy's offspring, Evan. Said, "Hey man, you gotta like you're a child. Don't tell me what I need to do for my business, okay?" I put this in the dryer for about 30 minutes. This is ironed. It's that looks pretty crisp to you, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not exactly. It's it's not tight.
I'm not Martha Stewart. Okay, we're doing a couple of jokes here. I'm next to a prison toilet in my underground laundry room over here. Okay. So I told, I was doing a little bit of promo for the show, and I love my fans. My fans have been there since the beginning. They've supported me. I'm up to about 113 followers on Instagram, not 1,000, 113. So this is the ground floor here. So when people comment, I'll comment back to them. So I did the promo for this tonight, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm on a nationally syndicated podcast. Just kidding, show." And my friend just said to me, "Hey, where did the 40 pounds come from?" That's probably not something you should say to someone about to go on to a performance, but it reminded me of a time when probably my third show ever, my mother was there, and she brought some of her friends. And I'm just about to go on. There's about 100 people there, and my mom's friend's husband comes up to me. Haven't really spoken to this guy too much, and he goes, "Hey, Brian, never really thought you were that funny." I'm about to go on stage, and I'm like, "Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it." After the show, and I killed it. It was funny afterwards. He goes, "Hey, I was wrong," but that's probably stuff that you shouldn't say to someone before they're going to go on to.
Right. Mike Kuhn is sharing some love tonight. He basically wants to say that love the financial advisor comedian niche. Seems like it's going well for you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Love the support. Always a day one kind of guy. He's actually in Boston now. I think he lives in Quincy. I don't know how he's there.
He lives in Quincy. And where's he originally from?
He's from Jersey.
He's from Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. So he probably won't be there long because I don't think it's a different element for him.
Yeah. I mean, where in the queue is he? I could call up a couple boys and make him disappear.
Yeah. I don't visit him, so I don't know. But we can talk about that offline as well.
Yeah, just give me his address, and we'll have someone knock on the door.
Mike, I don't know if that was a little bit of sarcasm, but if it was, fuck you. But if it wasn't, thanks, man. I appreciate the support as always.
And Mike also adds, you look like you're filming a terrorism video with that picture.
That's probably his football picture from college. So close enough.
Yeah. So,
man, you look like you are filming a terrorist ransom video with that basement setup. First of all, I can't. That's pretty accurate. I mean, it does look like that. I can't really say anything to that. That is accurate, Mike.
I mean, since you recently had a child, since you've had the child, have you found your spaces suddenly for you to kind of practice your craft less and less?
I'm glad
you can do it in your home.
I'm in the fucking basement where it's to a point where I'm talking right now, and I just got a text from my wife. Can you quiet down? She's on the 3rd floor. I'm like, I cannot go any more subterranean at this point. Okay, I'm like, there's like cement, wood, another 12 feet of space, and then wood, and then she's. I think it might be the Morris projection. That's how I was born. My father gave that to me. But yeah, it's been very interesting with the baby. We're so happy. She's Olivia Mae Morris, 4 months old. She's doing so well. She's great. That was an experience though. Like with COVID and everything, and we went to the hospital, and I mean, I was in there. She was giving birth, and I was there, and seeing that is life altering. But you can never complain about having like a bad shit ever again. Like that, a turkey came out of my wife's body. And afterwards, she's just like, yeah, like I'm pretty good. She was like, yeah, we can do this again. I think there's some kind of chemical, like a fuck it chemical that says, you know what, fuck it, I'll do this again. This was not that horrible. And it was incredible. My wife is superhuman. She is so great. She's such a great mother. I mean, she's been incredible. But that experience was pretty wild. And what I've always like wondered though is like doctors when they're writing in like a pad, because they were doing a lot of writing and stuff like that. I don't think they're writing about us, because they never can like kind of understand what the heck they say. The next person can never read it for some reason. Mm-hmm. Why, if there's medical charts and then when you go to the next doctor, they don't have it, what's the point of writing it down? Mm-hmm. I really don't get it. I mean, I feel like they're like, all right, let's go over my grocery list while this person's talking to me. All right, pasta, sauce, herpes. Oh, wait, hold on. What was that? And then they have to go and stop themselves mid-writing, go, okay, so you have herpes. Let's talk more about that. Right. Get rid of the grocery list. But I just feel like they never keep it, because every time you go to another doctor, what do they say? Yeah, I can't read what this person said, because it's bullshit. They go, shit, I got to write something fast. Let's just put it in there. Right? Mm-hmm. That's always been my experience with the doctor. It wasn't any different with the baby being born.
So Mike is telling us that he's in Quincy Center and he's actually requesting to disappear. And then fellow Q kid Lisa Julian says, "Bring it on, Joyzy boy."
Wow, I love it. A little bit of kink. I love that.
But Jenna Morris though wants to say we can still see behind you the basement.
Okay, that's my wife. Honey, apologize. I only had one sheet here tonight, so what I can do is I can make this closer, but I can't. I'm sorry, honey. The basement. Sorry about that, babe.
And then I believe this is your wife's brother. I got, because the best thing about Jenna is that she got a simpler last name to pronounce. So yes. Dan is saying superhuman. I'm not really sure. Oh, he must be referring to his sister. He probably fears her just like you do. Yeah. So
sometimes he just says things and you just go, okay, that makes sense. But he could be talking about me, because I could look superhuman too. So thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
feedback tonight. How many people are on the stream here? A couple thousand?
Well, I think your arch nemesis has finally appeared on the comments. Michelle Ulrich.
Oh, I thought my dad was. I didn't. What's that mean? Was there any other?
No, that's color? It. Just a Facebook. And the symbol for female.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. This isn't about you tonight. This is about me. I'm having a moment here. 19 minutes into the stream. Can you give me a couple of minutes here? just staring at me at the bottom of the screen. She's going, no, I can't. That's my sister, beautiful Michelle. Just had another baby. He's watching.
Yeah.
Who is watching downstairs?
I
think you're talking about my dad.
Yeah, the elusive Patrick Morris.
Because I texted him before I went on. I said, hey, at like 7:58, I said, Dad, I'm going on this. Click this link. I'm going to be on a podcast at 8. What does he do? He calls me at 8:01. I go, Dad, I'm on the podcast. I'm out there. But he's the best.
And I just got to say hi to Lisa Ford Murphy. Hey, Lisa. And Michelle is saying thanks, Jenna. And it's
you guys can do this offline though. You guys can text each other. You don't have to do this.
Well, I think a conversation is going on via text, but they're also answering but they're answering on. They're actually watching it on YouTube.
Like, is Brian okay? He's in the basement drinking by himself.
You know, this James seems like a pretty spectacular guy. I mean, you should send James a link and I'd like to actually bring him on. And
hey James, could we send you a link here and have you on here, because you're thinking it's just a family meeting, but I'm feeling like it's just maybe like a knockoff Joe Rogan experience. If he never left Boston and, you know, hated subscribers, I feel like it's pretty close to the Joe Rogan experience. So I'm going to send you a link, James, and if you want to come on, you can come on.
So I'm gonna remove the bear cam and come out of there so James can come in. Hey Siri, pause.
All right, I sent the link. Let's see what he's got.
Or even send it to your father. I would love to get Patrick Morris on here for some rebuttal.
Oh, that would be good too. We didn't even dive into that.
Mike Kuhn is saying a lot of family support. This feels like a start of a pyramid scheme.
Mike, appreciate you saying that. I'd love to talk to you offline about a couple of opportunities, though. I mean, so to that point, Michael Kuhn, I did my first set in New York. You were there, actually, at the Gotham Comedy Club, and it was like a new talent showcase. It was actually January of this year, and what a year to start doing comedy. And I went there, and it's a huge place, Gotham Comedy. Probably like 300 people can go inside there. And I'm talking to like the 9 other comics. I'm like, hey, do people like really show up to this? They're like, dude, like, no, it's like a Wednesday night. There's like maybe 45 people here. Little did they know my dad had got a bus with 45 people that he knew driving into Manhattan, and ended up being about 300 people there. And Jim Gaffigan actually opened for me, so it was
yeah.
quite
I mean, I was really excited about that. I mean, I was telling everyone like after that show, because it really was a you know, a spectacular night in regards to like the fact that Gaffigan opened up for you. Really warmed up the crowd, got them all excited. Did a 45-minute set, and then you know, and then you came on right after and killed it.
Appreciate that. Jim kind of fucked me a little bit though. I love Jim, but we've known each other a couple of months now. But we got 6 minutes, and he went on for 45, and he was killing it. So this is my first time in a big crowd in New York City. As I'm going on, the stage manager's like, listen, you got 4 minutes now. I go, you think I know how to cut shit? I can barely regurgitate what I wrote. And I mean, it went pretty well. My family was great. My sister was there. My wife, both I think were pregnant at the time. It was an awesome. And you and Aunt Michelle came down. It was an awesome experience.
And I think your father was handing out 20s out front and just inviting people in.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. 20s, that's a light day.
You know, James Burns says he doesn't want to take any more of your spotlight.
James, brother to brother, I appreciate that, because you know that's really a sore spot. All right, I appreciate that. He's a good dude. He looks very professional in that photo, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's like he's, you know, getting his bar mitzvah photo.
Yeah. Let's see if my dad will come on. He's, I just sent to him.
Jenna's brother is saying, "Hey Siri, when's the last time you spoke to Google?" Siri is not answering.
Thanks, Dan. Though we'll ask Alexa next time. There's too many connected things in the world. I feel like this would be a good transition into a bit if I had one, but I don't. But I will think of one, because that is a good topic. I did. I had some stuff I was working on. So most of my comedy is like storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried. There's like different types of comedy, right? So like there's like the one-liners, a couple of quick jokes, and I've tried those in my acts, and then my friends and fans will be like, "Hey, maybe just stick to the storytelling. Maybe not do something that you're not kind of confident doing." And I think I get that from my dad because he tells stories all the time. Like my dad, like we were saying the other day, is like my dad's. Oh my god! Don't, Dad,
wait.
you're. Oh,
he's oh, there he is.
What's going on?
Every time my dad does this, he'll just go like
that. Like that.
Like, hey,
what is going on? What is this show about? Does anyone ever watch this show? Is there thousands or tens?
Well, last week we had almost 400 people watching the show.
Okay, so since you're talking about comics, and my son is actually NJ comic, not to,
I didn't want to say
New Jersey.
Yeah,
I mean it's NJ comic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's,
so let me. So our family is pretty funny. Okay. And when I say pretty funny, my sister did stand-up comedy like 30 years ago.
Hey, Delaney.
As
who, Linda?
Know,
no, the birthday girl.
Linda. The birthday girl.
Oh, so, right. It's Diane's birthday today.
Yes, 60 years old. She looks great. She's having a good time. But it's COVID, so it's very low-key. You can't do anything. I don't even know if you actually can count it as a birthday. But yes, she was the first real comic to get paid. And then, my dad has humor like Bob Newhart, very dry. I don't know if my son knows who Bob Newhart is.
No,
Does he know? Okay.
But
if I had to rank my siblings in funniness, do you want me to do that, Andy?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna say Rick is the funniest.
Rick, yeah,
I would agree with that.
I would say Rick is the funniest. Okay. Followed by, I'm going to say me. Okay. I'm going to be a little boastful there. Okay. And I'm going to say my sister Diane third. I think Michelle with a couple cocktails is probably funny, And
is Aunt Michelle watching this?
No, Aunt Michelle is currently on a Zoom meeting, solving a lot of social issues right now. So
we're doing kind of the same thing, but
right,
same thing,
right,
at a lower level.
And then Rick, Greg, and Linda, bringing up the rear. You know what I'm saying?
Not a thing you want to hear your dad say. But.
Yeah, I mean, Greg is on. Greg's saying careful right now. So
what's that?
Greg is
saying careful.
He said careful.
Well, he could come on. You have rebuttal time, I'm sure.
Well,
I know it's
Mike Kuhn was like, this is a family affair. Yeah. Delaney. Yeah. Uncle Greg, can we send Uncle Greg the link? I'd love to see him.
Yeah, I mean, you can send Uncle Greg the link.
I said Darth Vader. That's a shout out to my brother.
Yeah,
that was.
I mean, you can send Greg the link.
He sent me some cookies, which was awesome. Okay.
Dad, are you doing your thank yous through the podcast right now?
Pretty much, I'm using
This is kind of
the Dom Perignon,
I mean, this is kind of this really is the Brian Morris story, right? I mean, kind of like always kind of having his thunder stolen.
Right.
I wouldn't have any thunder if it wasn't for Darth himself, though.
Right. I mean, here's a guy who's, how old are you, son? 32-ish?
I'll be 32 in May. Thanks for knowing.
Okay, 32-ish in May. He's a guy who still does rock, paper, scissors to see who's taking out the garbage. Okay, you got to respect the guy for that.
First of all, when a man does that to another man and they win and they don't do it.
No tears. Remember, no tears.
That's not acceptable.
It's not
And
acceptable.
I hear from Mom that you didn't actually take out the trash, that I beat you on.
You know what? It was a weak time. I made it up the other day. You lost, and I took care of going in the basement
The
to do
funniest
something.
thing that I heard was it's as hard to lose at rock, paper, scissors as it is to win.
That is very good.
My dad, first of all, my father, very intelligent, street smart, book smart. He's got it all. My father read a book, about a 75-page book on rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I would say I'm actually probably winning in the times that we play. I don't think it made a difference. I love
Greg is pointing out he doesn't even know your birthday.
He doesn't know.
Oh.
But if it was Aria's birthday, forget about it. June 20th.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
Where is Aria tonight? Is she here? Is she there?
She's sleeping here. They're sleeping over because of the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm out in the cold.
Right.
I'm in.
We have another addition to
who's
the.
coming on? Who's that?
JP Byrne.
No, he's got too much airtime already. I mean, who's wearing that at 8 o'clock at night?
As soon as Pat came on, I'm like, you know what? I got to say hello.
Are you working right now?
Yeah, I just got to my office. I was on the road for like 2 hours trying to get back south.
You're still doing the plowing job?
Dude, it was, you know what? There were literally plows on the side of the road in the median, not plowing. And there's like 2 inches of freaking snow on the road. So
funny.
High five to the.
I'm gonna tag Murphy right now.
Yeah, high five to Department of Public Service.
Hey, give me a kiss.
Let's not make it political.
Can you see the little guy?
People on
Can
it.
you see the little guy?
Oh, there he is, Axel.
Axel is now on. He drinks a beer. So I mean,
so now I'm getting diluted.
This is like the best. I can't even. This is like
perfect.
Beautiful. I mean, this is like.
This is like a COVID reunion,
You're right. I mean, it was meant to be a spotlight for Brian, but I guess it kind of in a way is a back end way of a shit on him, Brian.
Brian is
now. My God. Andy, I want to be on your show next week and invite my son on my show.
This is what's gonna happen. Pat's gonna be like, "Hey, can we do one of these next week?
Why can't I have one of these shows on Instagram or whatever this is? What is this? Instagram, Face, YouTube. Don't you have to pay for that?
No, I'm actually streaming on. I'm actually streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and also and actually Brian's page.
Somebody just texted me. They're watching it now. A friend of mine. You do. I mean, this is a big station here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a Joe Rogan type thing.
Well, if you notice, when Pat came on, you got more followers to actually watch the podcast. So,
hey, JP, good seeing you, brother. Good seeing you, man. You can get out.
Hey, Brian, do not talk to the former champ like that, okay?
Oh, true.
Do not talk to the former champ like that.
I'm still waiting to put that belt back on. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I have your belt.
Hey, Uncle Andy, I'll see you later. Good seeing you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, he has that curtain. I do like the curtain now. I do like the curtain.
You know what? The curtain looks a little better now.
I like the curtain all wrinkled. I don't know why people like it ironed.
My father was like, "Hey, it's kind of like a distressed kind of look." I go, "Thank you."
I like it.
Yeah. Are you talking about you, or is he talking about the sheet?
No,
kind of both.
We're both distressed. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I need this COVID to be over.
Now Greg is sucking up, saying that he's smart. So.
Yeah, I tell you. Okay, if I have to rank them in who's the smartest in our family, he's number one.
Can we not do the ranking? No one wants to hear
the ranking. Everybody likes the top 10 list, the top 6 list.
So you would pick Greg as the smartest over Michelle.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Who's the hottest?
She married you, Andy. She married you right off the bat. You lose 50 points.
What?
You start off like in minus.
Off negative.
Well, maybe she knows something you don't know.
Dad, stop.
Okay,
Dad, stop.
You're going to stop because my sister and Why don't we just talk about? Never mind.
What else you got for us, JP? Anything else?
What's that?
I'm just happy to be here. Just happy to see you guys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you look fantastic, but Pat, you haven't changed. Brian, I mean,
No, I haven't been in the office since
Brian
March
should have.
9th.
Yeah, my dad hasn't been in the office since March 9th, which is different than the
You
ones
mean
he would go in before that.
You mean of last
Yeah.
year?
The year before, I was in 7 times. Yeah.
Well, at least you have the one tie that for the compliance meeting that goes on once a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's always a fun day.
This isn't on
So
my
this is-
OPA though, so let's not bring up work.
Yeah, I know. So, Brian, what do you got to say to my sister who's 60?
Yeah, so I thought I kind of got out of doing that because I called her earlier and I gave her I spoke to her for quite a bit of time, but now I got to do a little funny bit. No, we were talking about. Well, she was like, I wonder who's. So it's my aunt's. How old is she? 60?
Yes.
60th birthday. So it's a milestone. Awesome. Very, very excited. Her daughter just got married, waiting for grandkids, things like that. And I was calling her. I said, hey, how's everything been? I know it's kind of a weird year to celebrate. But hope everything's been good today. And she's like, yep, had a great sale. She does like blinds and curtains and stuff like that. She got a good business doing that. And she's like, yeah, I wonder who's going to be, as I turn 60, I wonder who's going to be the first person in our family of my siblings to die. Who well, Dad, if you had to rank the first person to die, who would you say?
That's a little scary.
That's a little dark. That's a little dark.
That's very dark. It's just a little too dark. Yeah.
I said, Diane, enjoy yourself tonight. We'll talk more tomorrow. But that's kind of where we left it off.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, quick, tell a joke.
Yeah. So Delaney says, Brian, embrace the sheet. It's a good aesthetic.
That's someone that knows what's going on. JP, a joke. I don't have any prepared, JP. If you stay on, I've got a couple of good bits I'm working on, though, I'd love to share with you. Okay, a couple on TikTok and then one on my father on how we operate. Dad, I'm in the middle of setting up a joke.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
On one of my father and how he operates his Twitter account. So stay on board. I'm going to work it into the conversation, but don't fucking put me on the spot like that in front of my family here very much. Okay?
Well, I mean, wait, was that your wife laughing from the 3rd floor that we just heard?
No, that's actually my sister, but
she's in the background here. Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle is always very close by if I'm doing anything in the spotlight.
Yeah.
She knows just to
holding the baby
right on there. I mean, look, she's got the kid there. She's thinking she's going to get some views. Bloom and Blitz, her Instagram. You can follow her. She does a couple of things on there.
I mean, you do notice that she's always in bright colors, right? So, I mean, she does kind of brighten up in the room. You're always in kind of like darks and, browns and grays. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, your aesthetic right now is very Dickens. I would have to say that.
He's going with the earth tones.
Yeah, but first, my cousin Delaney is like really, I would say she's more artsy. So that compliment to me, the world. Like that means a lot to me. So I appreciate it. James, are you drinking in the office again?
I think he was urinating, actually.
There we go. Canabapau, Castle.
Hey, Bri, if you ever need material, because you do have 22 minutes left.
Yeah.
If you want, you can just read my Twitters. People.
All right. Okay. I guess we'll get into it. My father, like the older generation, doesn't really get the social media. My dad, he'll talk to me every once in a while on the phone, but not more than 3 minutes. He calls me the other day and he's like, hey, how do I edit this thing? I said, Dad, you know, on Twitter, you can tag people, right? Like at the real Donald Trump. No, Pat's not doing that. He's just putting, hey, Donald Trump, you are a demagogue. You cannot be doing that to our country. And I'm like, Dad, you're yelling in a room with 14 people. You have 14 followers. No one's
44 followers, okay?
34, and half of them are Russian bots. And I said, Dad, you got to tag at the real Donald Trump. He was like, okay. So
I did that one time. I did it one time. I got 380 people looking at it.
Right. And then he never did it again. And I haven't heard from him since.
I don't want to be that successful at that medium. Yeah.
It's kind of like yelling at the Mets game, and you think that the players can hear you. It's the same.
Right.
Yeah. It's like,
so Andy, So Andy, my brother-in-law just sent me a text that I was being kind to you by only giving you minus 50 points for my
Was
sister
that
marrying
Uncle
you.
Joe?
Which brother-in-law is that?
Yeah.
Brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Who's your brother?
Which brother-in-law is
brother-in-law.
that?
I don't know. You got to figure it out.
Oh, so it's either Frank or Gary. So
Oh, Frank. Come on. Frank's sleeping.
Frank's asleep.
dead.
yeah, so it's got to be Gary. It's got to be Gary.
Yeah, that Gary, that bastard. Now he's going to yell
come
at me
on.
for ratting him out.
I mean, the guy that wore the good humor suit, on dates. So no.
Uncle
You
Andy,
know what?
how
That
many
was
people are on
that was
this?
big. That was big back then. In that little town.
What was big?
Connecticut? The white suits,
The white suits, like Miami Vice white suits?
Pretty much that's what Gary wore when he went on dates with my sister. Yeah.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I need a picture of that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at JP this entire time. Like, it's my uncle, my dad, and then JP is just on here.
Yeah.
I mean, JP's
goddamn job.
JP's sitting there
Well,
like a supervillain. So.
But you got to give props to JP. He did show up.
Yes, he
first one. It
Yeah.
was cold. It was a night. It was very.
In 18 minutes.
24 comics, and I would say.
JP, were you there that night?
Good.
Which one?
At the Stress
JP
Factory
was.
that one time.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you and was it Barrett?
Yeah, it was me and Barrett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my neighbor who said, I never thought you were that funny.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pat, I never got that $20 that you said you were going to give us at the door, like you were giving everybody else to get in there.
It's Venmo. You got to check your Venmo.
Stop
okay.
laughing in the background. We can hear you, and it's
It's literally the
But how about we're at the Stress Factory. It's like the middle of the winter last winter, and it's my dad, who's always been at my shows, and like 4 other people in the Stress Factory. And there's comics going on. This woman goes on, and she's doing pretty well. And my dad's like, you know what? I think she could actually be pretty funny. Like, Dad, she opened for Leno. She's on Conan. I think, like, I'm not sure her.
Spot talent.
He can spot talent.
Trying to get rid of this halo over my head. How do I do that? Yeah.
Move the camera.
Oh.
I don't know, Dad.
Oh,
You're just
This technology. You know what?
You know what? Pat Morris, you have a halo
It's like-
over your head. Difference.
Yeah. Like my glasses. Yeah.
Dad, why are you wearing
How's
red?
Rutgers doing,
I
by
don't
the
know.
way?
What's that?
How's Rutgers doing, by the way?
Killing it.
Basketball, number 19 in the country, 5-0. Football turned the corner. Good things, big things happening.
What'd you say, coach's wife in the room?
Then we got coach's wife here. You know.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, Andrew Orick, offensive line coach, Coach Orick on Instagram, doing a hell of a job
Very good job.
wherever he is.
Very. They work. Those guys work.
They work
So
very
what's
hard.
going on? Do they still hate Brady up there? I always wanted to ask one of these guys up in Boston. You guys hate Brady?
No, I mean, generally when you leave a Boston team, you no longer exist.
Right. Do you
So,
root for
I mean-
him, or you want him to? Do you want him to
No.
die, or you?
No.
No.
Are you a big Cam Newton guy now?
Yeah, well, we know that Cam Newton is a transitional player for a bigger picture. You know,
Okay.
so
You should.
I think
what happened?
the rumor is I forget the guy's name, is that Belichick going to go for that quarterback.
It's like
My wife is texting me, take the show back. Is that emasculating or not?
What?
Yo, Brian, wait on you.
The show back.
Have enough.
She-
How do I get
Well, I mean,
I was told.
Okay,
Uncle,
you know what? I found the leave button, and I'm leaving. Let me see what you can do on your own. For
all I have to do is
16
this.
minutes.
All I'm going to have to do is remove from the stream. So,
oh my gosh. I just have half. JP's still there. Get him out of here.
JP, do you have any final comments before I nuke you?
You know what? It was a pleasure. Even though it was, I am celebrating Christmas this year, but you know, you said that the Google picture was a nice little what was it? The
Jewish boy. I think he's celebrating Hanukkah.
bar mitzvah outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice Bob Mitzvah outfit.
Yeah, L'chaim.
Nice.
Shabbat shalom.
Thanks for coming on, JP.
Be good, man.
My wife's texting me now. she goes, I can't say that. She's good. See, she makes me take action here. I was like, you know what? He's like, you're gonna be talking about how you got into comedy, what you want to do, and then my dad ranking his siblings on who's the smartest. Like, my dumbest brother would probably have to be.
But speaking of that, I mean, who are your influences? I mean, I guess my biggest question for you is, you know, what inspired you to take like that first step to like, you know, kind of throw it out there, make yourself vulnerable and do an open mic?
Probably my sister's spotlight. No, I would say I've always wanted to do. I've always loved comedy. Always loved stand-up, film, theater. I lived in Los Angeles for a little while. I was trying to break into that scene. When I say a little while, I mean like 4 months, and then I came back and met my wife. I was turning 30 last year, and I was like, you know what? I think as a good New Year's resolution, I should do an open mic. So I've been to the Stress Factory a bunch of times before, and they had an open mic, and I figured, you know, who's going to open mics? Like 20 people. And I went there, and there was probably 100 people there, and I wrote the bit. It was like you had 3 minutes to do a couple of jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote that within like 15 minutes, like the night before. And it was about I think it was like a Walgreens joke and then a couple of other things. And it was awesome. Like usually they say people bomb their first time. Like there was 100 people there. I had like probably eight or nine family and friends there. And then I crushed it. It was awesome. I didn't bomb. Like people were laughing, and it was such a thrill. I remember coming home and that night with my wife, and we were just like, what just happened? It was just awesome. And I knew that I wanted to continue to do that. Like I have a full-time job, obviously, that I do for a living. But like, having something as an outlet, like creative outlet, I always loved writing, and you know, writing like in terms of like a novel or things like that is much, or even like a sitcom is different than stand-up, right? So you have to really interact with. I'm in the middle. What's coming up on my screen is my sister telling me, talk about the extra. So my sister's the best. She's telling me what I should also have said. She's such a type A. She said, talk about the extra gigs on TV. Like I was on a couple of extra gigs on like Billions on HBO, on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and seeing those kind of things. So I went on those to kind of see what the process was like and how it shot. Like I was probably on scene for probably 30 seconds. I was there for 14 hours in a day. I mean, it was incredible to kind of see how the process works. And like your son, like Evan's trying to do that. And I'm like, you got to do these extra gigs because you'll meet so many people and find out like how the business works. And it's a grind. I mean, these kids, if they're not doing auditions, they're doing extra work to make a couple extra bucks and just be in the industry. Now it's tough, obviously, because of COVID. But thank you, Michelle. But once I did that, they have like an open mic night every like Wednesday night in New Brunswick, which is. Did Brian just say he has a full-time job? JP, you have enough screen time. All right, we will get to that. I need another more drink here. So once I did the first one, I was hooked. Like I wanted to continue to do it, continue to write, and it was like my writing style is based on stuff that happens to me. Right? It might be exaggerated. Like I have this one bit about the bagel shop preacher that I kind of messed up at the Gotham Comedy Club. But it was like, you know, one time I walked into the bagel shop in town, and this guy comes like blasting gospel music on his iPhone. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, this is going to be interesting. And he goes up to the counter. He's like, Isaiah 55:5, thou shalt be healed. I'm standing there. Like, this is a true story. I'm standing there. I'm like, what is this person doing? And he goes, that shall be healed. And this coffee shall be refilled. Like, loving this guy's energy was like all out of this world. So I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I'll take a cinnamon raisin bagel. Like, I have nothing to do with this guy. As I'm leaving, I see the guy in the parking lot, and I'm like, dude, I am loving your energy right now. And he looks at me and he's like, who the fuck asked you? Okay. You couldn't even respond to the guy. He was like literally yelling at cars in traffic. I was like, okay, I figured I'd compliment the guy, and he was just screaming at me. So I work on like bits that have true stories. Like that part of that might be exaggerated, but like I'll work on like real situations or experiences, and then I'll just kind of compound on that. But I do like telling more storylines than just like, hey, tell me a joke. Like, my jokes are like inside the stories. But going to like my influences, I mean, part of my shtick is like my dad is like loves my sister. She's, you know, the perfect child and everything like that, which she pretty much is. I was definitely a problem child growing up, but my dad is like my biggest influence. Like just the way he acts with people, and how he's like a caricature around people. I mean, he's like just the things he says, and like he's definitely the biggest influence. My wife is telling me my other influences on my screen. She's telling me, but also love Seinfeld growing up. Larry David, huge fans of how like Seinfeld will talk about a Pop-Tart for 15 minutes. Like, that, like, to make that funny is an absolute talent. Like, the thing with Seinfeld is that I kind of try to model. Like, I am pretty type A in terms of how I plan, in terms of financially, my life, my goals, all those things. Even with comedy, like a lot of guys, when I went on the open mic nights, we'll just be talking like dick jokes and stuff like that. Like, very comfortable, and they're just kind of throwing stuff out there. And half it's not funny because they're just trying stuff. Like, I really make sure my stuff is you can relate to it, right? And that people can, and it will be a very wide audience. Like, dick jokes are like for like college. I want to make it as wide as possible, but it's also about delivery, right? It's like the mannerisms that you use with your face, the time. That's why, like, I was a little hesitant to do this because doing this, there's been a ton of Zoom open mics because we can't go to comedy clubs. If I'm interacting with you, like, you might not think stuff's funny, like other people might, and it's contagious. Laughter is contagious in a room. So it's like doing stuff that just you might think is funny. I'll have to cater to what I think your humor is. And I can be a chameleon in terms of that, but having a bigger sample size is obviously easier. And, you know, obviously being in New York, and in New Jersey, like, there's so many, it's such a melting pot, which is so great. There's so many different cultures that you can kind of, you know, work on and play off of. I think it's really great. But I think Seinfeld, Larry David, I love Bill Burr. Jim Gaskin's awesome because he's like so clean, but he's killing it. He's crushing it. But it's just, like my father said, listen, do what you think is funny and relatable, and then tell these stories. And what I'll do is I'll come up with like topics, and then I will think about stories that I can relate to that I think are humorous. But yeah, you're gonna, like, some stuff is not gonna work, but as long as you, like, the personality is there on the stage, I think it can always kind of happen. But again, comedy is about taking risks. Like, I'm not I try not to be as crude. My mom's always like, my mom will bring her church friends to like the open mics. I'm like, Mom, don't do that. They're talking about like pussy and dick. I'm like, Mom, I don't want to be in the same room with my mother hearing that. Like, don't do that. But
but church people are probably some of the dirtiest people known to man. So
the dirtiest people have the best in church, 100%.
you know.
But like, it's when you're in that like environment, you can test a lot of things out, but that's what the open mics are for. So it's been tough now with COVID. Like, I did an open mic show, not an open mic, excuse me, an outdoor comedy show with about 150, maybe 200 people in Florham Park, New Jersey, which was outside. It was in a parking lot. It was, Uncle Andy, it was downpouring. It was flooding like 10 minutes before the show. People came out. People want to laugh. They want to be out. We were all on our little like grass knolls, like 6 feet apart. They were asking about my parents' sex life, the other comedian. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, you got to do that. But, like, that was his style. This was my style. It was my longest 15 minutes. So it was really great. Now it's just tough to get the reps. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do the stuff on my base bit, and then kind of going into what I've been doing. Right. Is like, I'm doing these 2-3 minute clips. And I think, like, there's certain ways that you can game it in terms of what TikTok is or Instagram. Like,
right.
Comedians, like, our podcasts are huge right now. They're having conversations about it, but, like, TikTok's a different type of element, and Instagram's like, no one's gonna sit there for 22 minutes. They sit there for 20 seconds and they're gone. So
right. I mean, even this, people slide in and slide out. So I mean, to the point, like, you know, I actually had this conversation with someone recently, and I felt that COVID, the positive side of COVID, if you're a creative person, is actually a positive thing, right? Because to your point, you're doing your TikTok, you're doing Instagram stories, and you may be thinking that you're talking to, it's hard to judge that you're kind of talking into a vacuum, right? In regards to, and as a comedian or as a performer, you're usually feeding off that energy of the audience, right? In regards to kind of, right. And even your cousin, that's what he says. It's like part of what he really loves about performing is kind of feeding off the energy of the audience. But when you don't have that, right, that's when you become great, right? Yeah. Because that's when you can kind of fine tune it, and you have the mindset that, no, the audience is there, but the only difference is that energy now is clicks and likes and emotes and everything, and you can see where that engagement is. You know, I mean, even
now, like your son, me, like, we have, like, this is more powerful than anything you grew up with. I grew up with. Like, we can create so much content on this, and the quality is incredible. That, like, you don't have an excuse. And people that want to do things, like, I'm like, you can write and do a sketch or film something, like a movie quality picture on an iPhone. So there's really no excuse, because going the old school route of, like, filming and then production and all that stuff, like, you can do it on your iPhone. There's no excuse to do it. But it's like your son living in Astoria, like, living with other people in the same craft and being surrounded by people. That's why I would go before COVID. Like, it takes me 35 minutes to drive into Manhattan, lower Manhattan, to sit there, and I would watch comedians at the Fat Black Pussycat, and I would listen to them, see what they're doing, see how the crowd's reacting, and get drinks with them afterwards. You got to be in the space surrounded by them, and then continue. Like, there are probably 15 to 20 before COVID open mics a night in Manhattan, and I was just getting into that, where now it's stopped, and it's like I have to continue writing. And I'm getting comments on my phone here. They said, "Stop making fun of church people. Your viewers are dropping."
You know, so I mean, like, to that point, you know, even this program, you know, part of the reason why I'm doing this is that, to your point, is that you're kind of a storyteller and telling funny anecdotes, right? And that this is really, I'm just using this medium is to allow people to tell their stories, you know, over having a pint, essentially.
Absolutely. I love it.
And that's what it is. That's what it is. You know, my cousin Georgie in Tennessee right now is telling me that he wants to know when to drink a Coke with Adam preparing. I know, you know, my brother Adam. Adam is kind of like, Adam recently said that you know, I could open up my audience by, you know, coming and talking about Coke, you know, to a younger audience. And I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, I'm a middle-aged bald guy, fat guy in a basement drinking a pint. I don't, you know, my goal isn't to reach a younger audience. You know,
that would be creepy. That would be even creepier than
right.
Already is.
I mean, at that point, I mean, Sarah would be knocking at my door. So, you know, so, I mean, you know, so, you know, but that's what it is. You know, one of my goals for 2020 before COVID hit was is that I actually wanted to uh, travel around to coffee shops and different areas and just record, talk to people over pints or coffee and facilitate those stories using pictures and everything, and
People want
I
community. They want to keep talking about these
right,
things.
and that's the thing. That's the thing. So when you bring up community, one of the things that I did is I went to this coffee shop called Seabird. The owner was on last week. They collaborated with Barrel House, which is a local brewery here. Um, but I went. People always ask me, why did I go to Seabird? When I could go to a local coffee shop in Hingham. I mean, in Seabird, just the next town over. But I went there for community, and I said to them, that was really kind of the biggest draw for me, is that I could sit there and we'd share stories and and listen, and there was kind of that push and pull in
Yeah.
regards to that, right? But when COVID hit and then everything closed down, that was this loss of community. So this is why I kind of started doing these podcasts. I guess that's what it's called, a podcast or a Facebook things. It's
Yeah.
sort of kind of, I have a large Facebook friend list, and it was sort of kind of getting me to kind of bring in that community, people that I grew up with, and to kind of share those anecdotes, whether it be doing trivia night or, and just kind of sharing things that I like,
Right.
and it's and the one thing it has done is it's kind of facilitated for me, um, you know, kind of in a lot of ways bringing me back. A lot of things is that, for a number of years, I've kind of like lost my identity in regards to, um, what, what my purpose was and everything. So, and this is like one of those tools to kind of bring me back there. So and it's worked somewhat, and now I'm back working again, but and kind of taking that step again. But I mean, this is all this is,
There's different parts, right? Like I have my like my full-time job, and then there's this part. Like they're two separate things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you need multiple parts of your life. Like my father's always said, like you need to have balance, right? In terms of
Right.
what you do professionally, personally, family-wise, and having that. And this has given me a creative outlet. And I think
Right.
and I appreciate, again, I want to thank, before this is over, like, thank you for the opportunity to come out here and talk about kind of what I'm doing and just kind of giving me a platform. But it's important to have an outlet, whatever you do, if it's small, whatever it is that makes you feel a sense of community. I think it's really important. And it doesn't have to make money. It doesn't have to make a difference. Like my father saw Vinny Brand, who's the owner of the Stress Factory, the other day in New Brunswick. And he was like, he said, well, my son's doing comedy. And Vinny said, oh, send me his stuff. And Vinny was like, don't let him do this. Like, this is not, you can't make a living doing this. Like, it's a hard life. Like my dad said, no, he's got a full-time job. He's like, keep it. But I think at a certain point, you need to have some kind of other purpose or passion to kind of keep you kind of involved with other things than just the work, the family. You got to have other kind of things that are going on.
Right. And and to that point, like one of the things that I have always said is, we're kind of speaking of balance, right? James is saying, so I've laughed more. Brian keeps saying full-time job than anything else he's mentioned, but
I'm very efficient with my job, James. I don't have to work hard if I work smart. Okay.
I guess I got to throw this out to James.
Sure.
Throw this out to James. At the end of the day, do you feel fulfilled? At the end of the day, do you think you're making a difference? And if you can't honestly say that, then, yeah, it might be nice to have all the toys and all the money, and that's, for me, that's easy to say, your aunt provides a very good life for our family, and she's a very hard worker, and, and her job allows me a lot of flexibility in regards to being able to pursue what I want to do. but I guess at the end of the day is that, you know, do you feel good about yourself? You know, and that's at some point in your life, you will, everyone comes to that fork in the road, right? It's like,
Yeah.
do you continue in, you know, for me, a lot of that was, you know, the stuff that I worked in. At the end of the day, yeah, it was, you know, it was nice working in the corporate world. It was nice doing the computer stuff, but at the end of the day, um, it wasn't a healthy situation. It just wasn't healthy. It didn't make me feel good about myself. You know, the fact that, you know, that I, you know, was in a role where, you know, I was more of an overseer than a participant, and that you can't, when you're like that, you can't, you just never feel good about yourself at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
but, you know, that being said, you know, I do enjoy your TikToks. I know I give you some like a, you know, some zingers every now and then. And, but I do enjoy your TikToks, because the reason why I enjoy them is because I like the fact that you're creating something and you're throwing something out into the world, and you may not feel that, you know, they're making a difference, but they do make a difference, right? And you may not have the greatest amount of followers or anything like that, but it's like it's not about followers. My brother Christopher, who does Twitch, you know, who reviews cannabis, you know, Christopher makes a really good point. It's not about the number of followers. It's about the followers you have and that they're enjoying what you're providing.
Yeah.
So don't get caught up in the numbers game, right?
No.
It's never about the numbers game. It's like, at the end of the day, are you being true to yourself, and do you feel good about yourself? And you know what? Some people are, you know, I always say to Evan, you know, some people won't like your stuff, and that's okay.
Yeah,
You know.
you're not that with anything in life, right?
Mhm.
I mean, like you said, like, it's with my day job, I help people. Like, my dad's biggest point in business is,
Mhm.
how can you help more people, right? How can I help more people retire or with their financial lives, right?
Mhm.
And this part of my life is, it's so fulfilling to see I'm creating something from like nothing. I'm like creating a joke or a theme on my own. And it might be funny, it may not be funny. Some people may like it, they'll hate it. But it's the same with politics or business or whatever. Half the people will hate you, half the people will love you. But it's, at the end of the day, like, this is something for me. In my day job, I try to help as many people as I can. And this is for me. This is for me to kind of create. It's a challenge for me to do. And I always say, like, not me, but other people say, you have to get outside of your comfort zone to grow. And I think by like every single time that I go on stage, if there's 10 people, 100 people, or 300 people in New York, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And I think you're growing by feeling that pressure, by feeling that, because at the end, there's no bigger thrill than knowing you just created something that wasn't there. It's your own thing.
Right.
And selfishly, it's a thing for me. It's a feeling for me, but making people laugh is a drug. Like, I don't smoke pot. I don't do anything. I'll have some. I'll drink every once in a while. I don't drink that much. But like, that's what I do, and it just feels electric. And seeing like the way my wife smiles or laughs, like, every day I want to make my wife laugh. That's my goal. Like, these little certain things, like, it's not going to make me money or make me more successful in terms of that, but in terms of making the people that I love and family, friends, fans, like, happy, like, that's the goal. So just if I can make a few people laugh or smile or forget about the COVID, or, I mean, there's so much pain and hurt in the world. Like, just forget about it for a second, for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. That's how people go to comedy clubs, just to forget about it. And I can't, I mean, it's in my shtick, but I have the biggest support system. My family, you, my father, my mom, my wife, like, having people, my in-laws come to every show. Like, it's just people that support you, and it makes you really, it's corny, but it makes your life kind of complete. And it's important, like you said, to have kind of different outlets for that. But again, I really appreciate you kind of put this on
and just you're right. And just like I said, when I went to Gotham, I had so much fun going to that Gotham night. You're right, just to kind of see a thing, and that I even said to you after, like, and I say to people all the time, Jim Gaffigan opened up for my nephew, and that's basically how you should look at it. Jim Gaffigan opened up for you.
Absolutely.
So, and that's how it be. Jenna Morris is saying 100% successful in that. I laugh every day, and and I just wanted to give a shout out to Jenna Morris. I mean, that kid you guys produced is absolutely adorable. I enjoy seeing those stories, and I'm like, oh my god,
she is the best. She's the best of both of us. She really is.
I mean, that kid is just absolutely adorable. So yeah, it's absolutely fun. But I'm glad you came and did this. That's a lot of fun. Love you. And and as always on Andy Drinks a Beer, like I said, we always end up with a song. So I only thought it was pretty appropriate that the song we end up tonight is actually Pure Comedy by Father John Misty. So I hope you enjoy it.
Beautiful.
Slot to Brian.
I think I'm gonna go.
And babies, that's pretty much how it's been ever since. Now the miracle of birth leaves a few issues to address. Like say that half of us are periodically iron deficient. So somebody's gotta go kill something while I look after the kids. I do it myself, but what